Hello, David here at merchantaccounts.ca. Today I'm going to tackle the topic of security reserves, what they are, and I'll talk a little bit about how to reduce them. Stay tuned, we'll dig in a second. So a security reserve is something that no business wants. A security reserve is where the payment processor holds on to some of your money. They don't give it to you when you process the transactions. Now there's no set default security reserve. Like an ideal approval means that the payment processor will give you all of the money from your credit card sales and they will do it immediately. Where they don't do that, it means you have a reserve. And an example of a reserve would be the payment processor might hold back 10% of your funds for 30 days, which means when you process a transaction, you get 90% of the money right away. In this example, you would get the 10% that they held back on the 31st day. Now, the security reserve could be more. If you had a really high-risk business, let's say you have a startup business where you're taking payments, you're taking a bunch of money, a really large amount of money up front, way before a service is rendered. Actually, a great example would be something like a Kickstarter. But in any normal e-commerce transaction, when a cardholder buys something, they're guaranteed to get it. So if you were inventing some new cell phone that ran off of solar power, I don't know how that would work because it's in your pocket, but whatever. So if you invested in this or you bought it and you paid $10,000 for this cell phone and they were still manufacturing it and a year later the project failed, it means as a cardholder, you're due to get your money back. You never got what you were promised. And because the company failed, they don't have the money. They spent it all. There's nothing for them to give back. It does not change the fact that the cardholder is entitled to get their money back. Who gives it up or who provides it to them? The payment processor. That's the concept of chargeback liability in the industry, and it's why banks have reserves. The reason they have the reserve is they don't want to lose money. There's something about it. If your business has a security reserve, the bank has looked at your business and they've said, hey, we feel that somehow we could lose money in this situation and we're worried enough about it that we want to hold back some funds. The amount that they hold back and the duration that they hold it back for is also indicative of the risk that they perceive. So for example, if you're doing cottage rentals and the average customer books 6 months ahead, and you're taking the whole payment 6 months in advance, the bank knows, hey, if a tree falls on that cabin and nobody can use it in summer for the cottage that they've rented, this business owner, or in this case the property owner, is going to owe the money back, but they won't have it because they will have spent it fixing the cabin. We'll be on the hook for that. So we want to hold back, I'm just making something up, maybe it's like we want to hold back 50% of the funds for 6 months because we're willing to take a 50% risk on this merchant. Boy, I hope I'm explaining this clearly. All it means is that the bank doesn't want to lose money, so they're choosing to hold back some of your funds. As a business owner, you don't want that. So let me talk about how do you stop it from happening. The way that you stop it from happening is you lower the perceived risk for your business. Option one, you reduce the amount of money you collect up front. So if you're taking deposit payments and maybe you're taking like a 50% deposit payment, maybe you reduce it down to 10%. If you're like, Dave, that's crazy, I need that cash. All right, can you work with 20? Can you work with 30? Do what you can to reduce the risk. And by the way, if you can get approval without adjusting it, then do it without it. And you can get approval without changing your business policies, like reducing your deposit. How do you do that? Prove to the bank you're not going out of business. How do you do that? By giving them your financials. If your company has a ton of money in the bank, if it's been profitable forever, you have 20 profitable years in a row, every year more profitable than the last, you tell that to the bank or processor that you're working with. Any reasonable processor should look at a business that's rock solid and say, hey, sure, there's chargeback risk in concept if they went out of business, but they're not. They have this incredible track record. You really tell your story and make sure that the underwriter reviewing your file knows why you're stable, knows why it's not a concern. We have a lot of content about this at merchantaccounts.ca, and we do a lot of this at merchantaccounts.ca. It's one of the things that we're very particularly good at, is because we work with a number of different banks and processors. When we have a new client that we're working with, we talk to them about their business. We learn what's unique about it, and then we build a business case and we send it into the bank work with the head of risk so that they know all the things that, to be honest, oftentimes aren't known. Because if you just fill out a very simple application form, hey, I sell pencil crayons, and this is my name, and this is my address, and that's all they know about your business, well then you might not get the best terms possible. So you try and tell your story and work with a payment processor, whether it's us or another. Make sure whoever you're working with seems to really be paying attention to and caring about the reasons why your business is not high risk. I hope this has demystified a little bit of what is a security reserve. This was not intended to be an exhaustive video. We have other content on reducing collateral and security reserves. But a security reserve, a holdback, a rolling reserve, they're all different ways of the bank holding back your money for a period of time. But I know you don't want that. So please follow my advice, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for watching, and have a good day there.